It's about time you showed up.
I ran into some difficulties, but nonetheless, I am here.
I see you acquired what we were interested in.
That and maybe more.
And where is your other half?
I did what was necessary and ditched him at the first chance.
Well, that's surprising.
I do not suffer prima donnas.
Oh, nor do I.
Good.
Now, why don't you hand that over?
All in good time. Is your king ready?
Ready, willing, and able.
Then let's begin the next phase of the operation.
And what is that you're putting behind you?
An additional prize that could be of some use.
As you wish.
The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, aliens, extra-dimensional beings, science bros, and the rest of humanity and the universe who is tuned in. Over the next 60 minutes, you'll develop a sensation between your ears called chronic brain cell rejuvenation, clinically proven to improve cognitive senses and awaken the sleeping mind. Faster than a rabbit in mating season, welcome to the only hour certified by the Food and Drug Administration as a healthy alternative to the malpractice media. Tonight, you'll be hearing all about the coronavirus, Bloomberg, many other topics, but we begin with a little UFO news. Over there at Popular Mechanics, they just posted a interesting article by Tim McMillan called Inside the Pentagon's Secret UFO Program. And all the ufologists out there are just all over this one. Oh, it proves there's aliens, all this other stuff. But it really doesn't. All it really does is prove that the government is interested in the subject of UFOs. For what reason, we really don't know. But according to Mr. Millen, he did some investigation into all of this, and they came up with some kind of conclusion, except their conclusion is just like all the other malpractice media out there. It leaves it up to speculation, of course. But in their investigation, he does state one truth about UFOs, and I want you to listen closely, right from the article. After almost a year of investigation, the U.S. government's interest in UFOs, unbeknownst to them, they've only further confirmed what over a dozen other people with backgrounds inside the government and the now defunct Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Science Studies, or BASS, a bunch of basses over there, have already admitted to the sky. Just like the fictional Robert Langton, the path to understanding these mysterious government programs has taken me through the catacombs of informal secret societies whose surprising membership includes accomplished professors from the military, aerospace, academy, medical, and intelligent communities. See, there's a little truth for you. In an article filled with speculation and hogwash, they tell you a little truth. That behind all this are some secret society or societies whose members range from practically every field known to man. But words in this article are put in such a way as to direct the reader to believe that it's E.T. that they're hiding. By example, let me read this from the article. Though diverse or abstinent in how they defined exactly what it all means, each of these enigmatic characters share one common belief. Unidentified flying objects are neither myth nor figments of an overactive imagination. With absolute conviction, they all told us that UFOs are real. You see, he worded that in such a way to get all the people who are ufologists out there to go, see, they're telling us ET exists, but that's not what he's saying. Let me continue. Now, after 2 years of scant details and a myriad of contradictory statements, Popular Mechanics is ripping open the U.S. government's massive UFO problem. What follows is a deep, unprecedented well of information that's only been known to and by a very small select group of insiders. Until now. The same kind of tactics that was used by Adam Schiff during the impeachment trial.
Warning, a Trump alert is now in effect. This is not a drill. Seek out your tinfoil hats until the danger is over. I repeat, a Trump alert is now in effect. Stand by. All clear. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
Like it's some big secret that the government would have interests in UFOs. We've had Project Grudge, Blue Beam, many government projects that have been dedicated to the UFO phenomenon in many different ways. So it's a real shocker they'd keep it from the public too. Like the government never keeps anything from the public, right? It's a real shocker. And when they want that information to get out, they leak it. And just enough to keep us all wondering, to keep us all on edge. Again, it's standard government modus operandi. The shifter pulled that during the impeachment trial.
Warning, another Trump alert is now in effect. Anyone with Trump derangements in Rome seek shelter until the crisis is over. Stand by. Stand by. All clear. Back to your favorite program already in progress.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something new. So where was I? You know, I think I talked about this either the last show or the show prior, that it really feels like the end of days. You know, the locusts, the environmental issues, viruses, which we'll talk about later. All we need is some UFOs, some famine, and we're all good, right? And to me, I ask the question, is it God coming back, or does someone want us to believe that it's the end of days and God is coming? William Cooper used to always say that would be an interesting way to cull a certain part of the population. If God's coming, why fight it, right? And the people would just let it happen. But the government has secret programs, and that suggests that UFOs, in my opinion, are more likely to be Terran in nature. I mean, where do you think they get all that money from? Even better, where do you think some of that $2 trillion the Pentagon lost before 9/11? Where did that go? Do you remember that? Wasn't Dick Cheney. Who was it? Rumsfeld. It was Rumsfeld who said, yeah, we lost a couple $2 trillion here at the Pentagon. And then the next day, 9/11 happened, and all that information, poof, that wasn't important anymore. So how do you think that black projects are funded? And we know black projects in themselves are riddled with rapacious characters and activity. And do you think the Space Force just popped out of nowhere? Like Trump is the first person in the world who ever thought about militarizing the space?
Warning, another Trump alert is now in effect. If you have DDS, please grab your blankie until the emergency passes. Please take a deep breath, stand by. All clear. We return to the greatest show on earth, still in progress.
I wonder if that's a ghost or something. Now, to further my opinion on this, if I may, let's take into account that the vast distances between habitable planets makes it virtually impossible or highly unlikely that some distant civilization could travel here and randomly stumble upon Earth with all the millions and millions of possible planets and the vastness of space. And like we talked about just recently, the radio signal that comes from 500 light years away. Well, those people, if there were people who sent that signal and it wasn't some sort of natural phenomenon, that would have been millions and millions of years old. Those people who sent that are likely gone, if they sent it. You know, and sometimes I even challenge that popular belief that time is different in space. Since we're talking about space, and this kind of entered my mind here, you know, they talk about how people age differently in space. Time runs differently in space. I don't see how that is possible because, ladies and gentlemen, calculating time is a man-made invention. Mechanisms calculate time. So the different kinds of mech will function differently in different kinds of environments. So the perception of time through mechanics may be different, but a snap of a finger is a snap of a finger. The decay of a fallen oak leaf may be different in different environments, but that doesn't change that it is still an oak leaf, does it? I mean, if it falls on a lava planet, it's going to decay and disintegrate much faster than it does on an ice planet, which may possibly preserve it. And one more thing. With genetics, crossbreeding, and cloning, how far-fetched is it to think that ET itself could be manufactured if our government is developing different sorts of aircraft or vehicles? I don't know how to put it. You know, what do you call them? If they're developing these, which in my humble opinion, I do believe they are developing these sort of things, because it's only prudent. We're going to space, right? There's a space force. We're going to have spaceships sooner rather than later. So if ET ever showed up, I'd have a hard time believing that it was from some distant planet when I know we can create different things through cloning and genetics and crossbreeding. We have the technology. We have technology that is far advanced than what us average everyday people know about. And boy, wouldn't it be easy to have some kind of genetically created ET, train them, use them to scare the people into whatever the hell they needed the people to be scared of so they could control them easier. We've got to take our first time out, folks. On the other side of this, more stuff that, well, is is on the docket. Stay tuned, be right back. Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back. Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass. For a beautiful shine that's crystal clear, call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's the Hybrid Convention.
As we move along in this broadcast, something else I saw that was very interesting in the news, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot I'm over here with the camera. I've been looking over here. If you're tuned in on the Banger Came, hi. Well, every once in a while we discuss education here because, well, it's a fun thing to discuss. We have many problems with the current education system, and here's one that is taking it to the next level of stupidity. And when you have stupid people who don't want to hurt anybody's feelings running places of education, you end up with this. School district scraps traditional A through F grading system for a kinder, gentler model. According to the new key provided to parents, these abbreviations stand for, I love it. Instead of an A, you're exceeding, which means student consistently exceeds grade level expectations for the end of the year. How wonderful. Then you have the B, meeting, which it means students consistently meet grade level expectation for the end of the year. Meeting. How do you have it? You don't have a grade level anymore. You have a grade ranking. So that's it. You get a meeting. You're either exceeding or you're meeting. Then you've got the good one, developing. Student is developing, understanding, and is approaching grade level expectations for the end of the year. That's a C-level student. You're now a developing student instead of a C-level student. Wouldn't you like to go to your mom and go, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm still developing. I'm still developing. That's sex ed. I'm really developing in sex ed too. Yeah. Then we have emerging. And that would be the final grade. So we go A, B, C through D. Emerging would be the D, and that means students begin to show initial understanding of grade level expectations for the end of the year. See, they should have one. They need one more. That's what that E and F was for. They need one more. I don't know what to call it. Not emerging. Stupid. The ones that can't pass. But now every kid is going to pass because you don't need to have a grade. They're just going to keep moving you along, and you're going to be always emerging, or you're always developing. And hopefully one day you can emerge to be a developing, and then you can develop into meeting, and then possibly, and never, it will never probably happen, but you'll then be in the exceeding group. Now, when you get to that, and the college looks at that and they go, okay, didn't we have a standard? Now, how do we judge his grades? Exceeding's a 4.0? Is that what it is? Do you get a 4.5 out of exceeding? And of course, this is kinder care. But if they are so worried about hurting the little kiddie's feelings that they put in a grade system here that really doesn't say anything. I mean, it's just, if Mom, I'm emerging. I'm emerging. Don't get mad at me. I'm emerging. One day I might be developing, Mom. Now, as you can see, every grade is dripping with optimism, presuming every child is on the road to excellence. Yet we know that does not happen, that not every child is on the road to excellence. The only thing they are being graded on is the speed at which they are obtaining comprehension of the subjects at hand. So it doesn't matter. You're falling way behind. Well, you're emerging. You're going to be there one day. Emerging. Positive reinforcement, folks. Positive reinforcement for them kiddies who need the positive reinforcement. That's right, folks. Now, kiddies. Everybody in the class, everybody in the class. Now listen, everybody. We know that most of you are still developing, and we love you for it. Now, few of you are meeting expectations, and some of you are exceeding excellently. We don't want you to discriminate against the emerging students. They're only emerging, and someday they'll be excellent after we hold them back for 4 or 5 years. And when they're about 4 or 5 years ahead of the next student, they'll be fine. It just kills me because the whole education system is a pet peeve of mine. Because not only do the taxpayers pay for the people who have children and then send them to public education, but then you get these tax credits from the government for having these kids. So they get almost free education, pretty free, except for the things you have to buy. And then you get a credit for having those children in the education system, while the people who don't have any kids have to pay into the education system and have money shuffled back to the people that have kids. And the more kids you have, the more you get. Gotta love tax credits. I wish there was tax credits for people who didn't have kids, because we don't put a drain on the system. It's kind of screwy there. A lot of parents who have children rely on that money. Okay. But since you get that money, and it technically is free money from the government for having your kid, do us all a favor so we don't have to deal with the Bernie Sanders of the future. Take that tax credit per child and put it in a bank account for the child's education. Split it up evenly. Whatever the tax credit is per child, put it away. That way, at least that money is going towards that kid's education in the future. But the parents will use that money. Oh, it's part of my tax return. Gotta love it. What are you going to do with our tax return? Let's go on vacation, honey. All right, let's go. Where do you want to go? I said let's go to Disney World. That's a good idea. Let's bring on the kids. Okay, that'll cost you lots of money. Don't worry, we can go on a cruise and catch a virus if we don't want to go there. Oh, that sounds good. It's a little bit ridiculous that not only do we have to pay for an educational system that is now allowing kids to feel good about being crappy at being a student. Back in my day, the teacher had no problem giving you a D or an E. Kid, you suck. Here's your E. Go home and face your daddy. Nowadays, there's no daddies to face. Maybe they don't want to send them home because it'll do no good. So it's just like, all right. Your dad's not, I don't know, we don't know where your dad's at. He's just gone. He doesn't, he's a part-time father. You got a part-time mother and a part-time father. That's good. So you don't feel bad because we know it's crappy enough being from a broken family. We're just going to say you're emerging or you're developing. And the kids that are exceeding, we won't give them A's. We won't give them A pluses. Maybe we'll put them in advanced classes so they're back into the development stage. Because we don't want anybody to exceed. We don't want people who can exceed to be highlighted over the people who cannot exceed. That would just be tragic, ladies and gentlemen. That to think that in a world there are people who exceed and people who don't exceed. People who develop and develop for an entire life and they still don't develop to where they even exceed or even meet expectations. We've got people who've been developing for 50 years now. I've seen it. People I know. They've been developing for 50 years. They're not even emerging. There's something else. They're even lower than the emerging. We don't have a lower grade than that because we can't offend anybody today. God forbid you just tell it straight. Listen, Miss Johnson, your kid's stupid. You can't say that about my child. Well, I'm sorry, but he just is. He's just dumb. Like a rock. I'm sorry. That's insensitive, you know. No, it's just the truth. Your kid's dumb. Send him off to the circus or something where he could succeed. Well, wait. Succeed's not on the list here. I'm sorry. Let's see. At least maybe he could go from emerging to developed. Send him to the circus. I'm sorry, folks. It's one of those things that I will never understand why we have this system set up to pay people to have children, and we also pay for their education. If you have a kid, you should pay for your own kid's education. In fact, you should pay for it on a local level. Go down to the school, write the check here. You keep your taxes so you get more, get to keep some of them taxes that are taken away and then given back to you. And you go right down to check, whatever the price is. They say it's what? $2,000, $3,000 a year per student? Well, that should be an easy check to write. America's doing great again, right? Should be easy. Well, what about them people who don't have lots of money? Well, mom's got to cut back on that smoking or one less tattoo or something. Comes a point when you have to decide, well, you might want to put your kid first, right? Put your kid first. Don't be a snake in the grass. When you're deciding between, well, should I buy this animal here that's going to cost me money, or should I take that money that will accumulate over time and put it into my child's education or future? If they don't want to go to college, you can maybe buy them a house in the future. Wouldn't that be great if every parent saved up and bought a house for their kid in the future? Saved up for that. So then the kid, the adult by that time, doesn't have to have that over their head. Wow. The largest expense we'll ever have in our lives is a place where we stay, the roof over our head. For some of us, we pay thousands of dollars a month just to have a roof over our head. Parent needs that tattoo or needs that aquatic snake or whatever else. All these little things, and I'm all for doing what you want to do, folks, but all these little things that throughout time could have been saved up so your child in the future, if you really cared about your child, right? Save up for their future. Put them in college. Don't make them take out a loan in the future. And then they complain, and then they become a Bernie supporter. Where they want free education. More free. As long as everybody gets free for the rest of their life, right? Let the people who work their butts off keep working their butts off. Everybody who doesn't want to pay for anything, it's free. It's free. It's free. Make it all free. Woohoo! We'll be back on the other side of this, folks. Stay tuned.
Don't move a muscle. The John Lebang Show. Right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
Well, it's been an interesting week on the corona front, or COVID-19, as it has been recently renamed. COVID-19 confirmed in China have gone up over 15,000 with corona cases. Can you believe that? That's public knowledge. We'll get to some of the other stuff in a minute. 240 additional deaths according to China. China's habitual province reported an additional 242 of those deaths, with another almost 15,000 new cases just on February 12th. And we're getting these things about a week at a time. Little by little gets trickled out to us. The province said it was starting to include clinically diagnosed cases in its figures, and that 13,332 of the new cases fall under that classification. So they reclassify so they can go, as we saw last week, round up people. Now the virus toll continues to soar just on the public knowledge that we are all being fed by the Chinese government, the U.S. government, and the malpractice media. That's soaring as it is. But I want to know, why the change? Is it because they're rounding people up? Are they expanding the pool of people to maybe get rid of people that, oh, dang it, you know what, we don't like you, so maybe you've got coronavirus. You've got COVID-19 because we say you do. We got to round you up. We're going to put you in a pen with a bunch of other sick people. Now, according to Beijing, Chinese official death toll from the new coronavirus that is called COVID-19 on Thursday, after authorities changed their counting measures, fueled concerns that the epidemic is far worse than being reported. The mainstream malpractice media is catching on. They can't hide it anymore, so they're trickling it out to you, folks. First heard here on the John Lebang Show. But, you know, we know the malpractice media is more reputable than the banger is. As the story continues from the Associated Press, as the figures soar in China, a troubling new front opened abroad as neighboring Vietnam placed 10,000 people under quarantine after 6 COVID-19 cases were discovered in a cluster of villages. The first such lockdown in a country not China. Did you hear about that, folks? Let's continue. Japan reported its first death of an infected person, the third fatality outside mainland China after the Philippines and Hong Kong. Under criticism at home over the handling of the crisis, Chinese Communist Party sacked 2 top-ranking officials in that province, and because of it being part of the outbreak. Getting a little tongue-tied here. The developments came hours after President of China claimed positive results from efforts to contain an epidemic that has now officially killed 13,000 plus people and infected nearly 60,000, they say. But the article admitted to all of us that, well, those numbers are sadly not exactly true. Now to bring this home, because right here in the United States, U.S. military is preparing for a coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. We brought up this very subject in the last show, and now this is a continuation. U.S. Northern Command is exceeding plans to prepare for its potential pandemic of the novel coronavirus, now called COVID-19, according to Navy and Marine Corps service-wide messages issued this week. An executive order issued by the Joint Chiefs of Staff and approved by Defense Secretary Mark Espen this month directed Northern Command and geographic combatant commanders to initiate pandemic plans, which include ordering commanders to prepare for widespread outbreaks and confining service members with a history of travel to China. The U.S. Navy and Marine Corps messages issued Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively, reference an executive order directing U.S. Northern Command to implement the Department of Defense Global Campaign Plan for Pandemic Influenza and Infectious Disease. See what's happening, folks. The document serves as the Pentagon's blueprint for planning and preparing for widespread dispersion of influenza and previously unknown disease. U.S. Northern Command said Wednesday it directed the Joint Chiefs of Staff February 1st to commence prudent planning in their assigned role, synchronizing the department plans for pandemic and flu disease. How's that feel, ladies and gentlemen? Over back to Hong Kong. So the one guy from Hong Kong who put out that video is now disappeared. He's just gone. People are looking for him and can't find him. One of the earliest videos, he did like a 40-minute video or something like that. And now he's all of a sudden disappeared. He's either running or he's been caught, is my assumption there. So the poor guy, probably no longer with us, because crossing the Chinese government isn't necessarily a bright thing to do, especially when there's a pandemic going on in China. Now, before his disappearance, Mr. Feng had recorded dozens of videos from Wuhan streaming unfiltered and often heartbreaking images from the heart of the outbreak. Long lines outside hospitals, feeble patients, agonizing relatives. And he go bye-bye. He just went poof, all gone. No longer there. So with all the latest news, folks, again, all we can do is keep up our immune system. But this doesn't look like it's going to break anytime soon. It's going to continue to rise and rise. And although it's primarily, and I love this. See, one of the hot little stories that I heard all the YouTubers talking about, that it's affecting mostly Asian men. As if that's some sort of weird thing, being that China is an Asian country. And what is the population of China? I mean, how many Hispanic men are in China? How many Anglo-American men live in China? So when they're talking, even people, because it's affecting mostly Asians, it's in Asia. Why? It would be a bigger story if it was mostly happening to, let's say, African descendants that are in China. And it was primarily to them, because that's a heck of a lot smaller group. But when the news was pushing this, wow, it's happening. I know what it is. It's to ease the American public's mind, right? To ease your mind. Oh, it's only happening to those Asian people. But they're telling you that, and it's the truth, but it's a half-truth. Because most people aren't going to calculate China. No wonder it's happening to more Asian people. They're in China. It's happening in China. It's happening in the Philippines, in Hong Kong, Japan. Another cruise ship. We have 5 now. That makes you want to go on a cruise ship now, doesn't it? Get on there, ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, ready to go. And go have a good time. And the next thing you know, you've got COVID-19. Or somebody in another cabin has COVID-19, and now you're quarantined in your stateroom. And you can't go anywhere. And can you believe the mask industry, how much money they're making right now? I'd like to find out, and I don't know if I can, because I bet you this is secrets, when they started making masks at a higher rate. Did it coincide or was slightly after the outbreak of COVID-19? Or was it prior to the outbreak? Were they making more masks? Did they have larger orders already in place before the outbreak? Because that would tell a lot. That would tell us if this was something they were expecting, because I've also read that some of the first cases were detected way back in November. And if that's true, that's obviously a mishandling by the Chinese government for it to be caught back then, and it has now become this giant problem. Because they could probably nipped it in the butt if they did the right things. Also, read a story, and I didn't make it part of the notes, but just to tap into this, as we only have about a minute and a half left in this segment, some of the people that are on those cruise ships that are healthy or aren't infected, they're being taken off. They're allowed to leave. They're ferrying them off somehow. And they're being sent back to their home country, whatever. But like any Americans that are coming back, not only were you quarantined inside the stateroom until you were let out, however long that was, 2 days, 3 days, a week, or two, who knows how long. But as soon as you get here, 2 weeks of quarantine. You fly in and now you're stuck. And you got people checking you. All your rights are gone like that, folks. All your rights are gone because you went to some other country somewhere. You left the country. Boom. And as we're seeing with the Army preparing for something to possibly happen here, that we may be faced with the same exact thing if we're not careful, if we're not prudent, and find a way to nip this in the bud. And the best way, folks, is if you come down with anything over the next couple months, stay home. Stay home. Don't go out in public and take the chance of passing it along so where this can spread. Stay home. If you need somebody, find a way to get a doctor to you. That's just me. Anyways, folks, it's time for that important timeout. We've got one last segment right here on the John Lebang Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Smoke them if you got them.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back
after this. That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan. If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John Lebang Show. It's huge. Now I got to tweet about it. We've still got tons to talk about in our stack of stuff, but the phone lines are jammed and we want to hear what you have to say. out to our first caller coming in from Washington, D.C. We hear from the Donald.
John, thanks for talking about Space Force. I love it, John. Just love it. First thing we're gonna do is build a Death Star, John.
Build a Death Star? Why do we need a Death Star?
Just in case China or Russia decides to mess with us, John. I'll blow up the whole planet.
You realize that's our planet too, sir.
Don't bother me with details. Hashtag kaboom.
Up next, we go out to Las Vegas, listening in on RadioVegas.rocks. Pedro, what say you?
Hey, man, you were talking about the E.T. dude, man. I know the dude, man. E.T. Gonzalez, man. He's hanging out down in the Mexican restaurant, man. Got some new shoes and everything, man.
No, sir, I'm talking about aliens from another planet.
Oh, I don't know that dude, man.
Okay, sir, thanks for your call. Up next on line 2, we've got Batman. What say you?
What's up?
Well, talking about aliens right now, Batman.
I saw that movie.
No, not a movie. Real life UFOs.
Oh, I remember that band. I think they played the Super Bowl.
No, not the band UFO. Actual UFOs, documented by the government.
Do they commit crimes?
What, UFOs?
Why do I have to repeat myself?
Maybe a crime against humanity.
Then where do I find them?
Well, that's the big mystery, Batman.
Well, let me know when you remember. It's a slow night in the ghetto.
We'll do that, Batman. Thanks for your call. Leroy, you're up next on the John Lebang Show.
Leroy, what are you doing? Calling the radio station, Uncle Shady. Why the hell you calling there?
Well, they're talking about UFOs, Uncle Shady.
Oh, I knew a few hoes. Tell them to go down to landing strippers. You can find them easily there.
You're calling about aliens?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What about them?
I heard there's all kinds of lizard people living in the middle of the earth.
Like the ones they claim George Bush is?
I don't know. Let me ask my Uncle Shady. Uncle Shady!
What do you want, Leroy?
Did you hear about the lizard in the bush?
Oh, my lizard hasn't been in the bush in a long time. They all shaved now.
Okay, thanks, Leroy, for your call. Our next call comes in from Northern California and Guido. What say you?
I saw them the other night flying around, and I was like, that's a pretty color then. And then I watched them take somebody and beam them up like it was in that Star Wars or something. And then, you wouldn't believe it, I woke up in my bed.
Sounds like a dream, sir.
That's what my mom said.
And you know what they say, always listen to your mom. Well, we avoided it most of the hour, but we really need to talk about it because it is somewhat of an important topic, especially now that he is starting to make his way through, and I'm talking about Mike Bloomberg. He's starting to make his way through. He came in late. He waited it out. He let all the socialists and the America haters fight it out amongst themselves, knock a few off. And now he sees a very weak core group of presidential candidates in the Democrat Party. So Bloomberg decided, I'm coming out. And now some of the latest news is he wants, guess who? Hillary Clinton as a running mate. And that's the big news over there. Bloomberg, according to some sources, is considering Hillary Clinton as a running mate. Although he has tried to back away a little bit from it. But, you know, it would be a semi-smart idea. But if I were Bloomberg, I wouldn't want Hillary on. She's that close to the presidency, and she's always wanted to be the president. You could have an accident. You could have a typical Clinton friend accident, and next thing you know, she's the president. But according to polling data, Bloomberg and Clinton combination would be a formidable force to take on Trump in the White House race. Because Hillary's been exonerated, huh? And you got to wonder how deep into the swamp Bloomberg is now. Bloomberg is said to be considering changing his official residence as well because the Electoral College makes it tough for a president and VP to reside in the same state. So guess where he's thinking about going? He said, we are focused on the primary and the debate, not the VP. said Bloomberg. But you know what states? You know what states he's thinking about going? One of them is Florida, where Trump went. We can just move now. Just to get people to like us, we can just move to their state. It's ridiculous. And that way, you might win one of those swing states. Now it's going to swing the other way. Because Trump just moved his residency to Florida. He moved out of, because he couldn't win New York. Nobody but a Democrat will ever win New York. Unless something major changes there. And I mean for the presidential. And same with California. It's just going to be Democrat for the foreseeable future. And I'm thinking 20, 30 years. Until something changes out there. And I don't know if it will ever change. Not that I want people to vote for that R party. There are plenty of independent candidates I'd be happy to see get an office here and there. But, then they end up like Bernie and caucusing with the big party anyways. Other bit of news, which is more swamp news, McCabe gets off. Andrew McCabe, the man behind the shenanigans over there at the FBI along with Comey, he gets off. No criminal charges, no arrests, no nothing. Just like Comey, nothing. Then we got Trump tweeting, and Barr doesn't like the tweets, and it says he's making real hard to do his job, but Barr isn't putting guys away, and it's probably starting to really peeve the Trumpster off. Andrew McCabe, one of them, who directly was part of the coup that tried to take down the president, the failed attempts to take down the president. And they're not going to bring up any charges on that. Not going to do anything to this guy. And I know we still got some report. The Durham report is coming out soon, sometime in the spring. But those of you who are holding up hope that people are going to go to jail that are from the swamp, I don't see it coming, folks. I don't see it coming. Comey's still out there. McCabe's still out there. Clinton might be the vice presidential candidate. She might run with Bloomberg. And she's been floating these things out for months now. She wants to get back at Trump. Look at Alexander Vindman. And the 70, maybe 80, I forgot how many people were reassigned. And I love the mainstream malpractice media on this one because they kept saying, fired, fired. He wasn't fired. He was reassigned. He was sent out there. Got to go to the military college to learn to follow the chain of command. This guy and his brother, part of the coup, again, nothing's going to happen to him. No disciplinary action, nothing. And we're supposed to think that some kind of justice is going to happen. The swamp is going to be clean. And I don't know if Trump is there being mad about this or if it's just part of the game, right? Because you would think, and we see the tweets, but you would think Trump would order some of this stuff. And why is Barr all of a sudden now looking like he's another one of these guys? He's all of a sudden now, I'm not scared of Trump's tweets. He's making it harder to do my job. Do your job. Arrest some of these people. How in the heck are we supposed to feel there's justice when we clearly see a coup going on inside the government and the people who have clear evidence against them, who, if any of us would have done the same criminal behavior, would be gone to jail. We'd have our house raided, all of our possessions confiscated. But not McCabe, not Comey, not Vindman, Strzok, Page, none of them. Swamp's not being drained at all. Sometimes it looks like it is, but when it comes time for the arrest to happen, none of them happen. Nothing happens at all. Absolutely zero. 44 Democrats led by Senator Joe Manchin, who had come under attack from Trump for his impeachment vote. He's up for re-election in a swing state. Wrote that Trump asking him to rein in the Department of Justice, which supports a lawsuit in the Fifth Court to repeal Obamacare. Another pet peeve of mine that isn't getting done. It's stuck up in court now. We're supposed to just wait things to happen. But the problem is there are no alternatives to Trump. Now there's some alternatives for Congress as far as the House and the Senate go. And that's where the American people, I hope, come to their senses, throw out the Democrats that are up for election, put in Republicans, put in independents, I don't care. But the country's been through enough with these Democrats holding the House. I don't want another 4 years of investigations and impeachments because the party that has cried wolf one too many times is guaranteed to cry more wolf in the coming years if they stay and, God forbid, pick up the Senate. If they keep the House and pick up the Senate, it's going to be endless investigations and impeachment. And I hope the American people can see through the shenanigans, see through the gallimaufry of fake news, fake investigations, and put people in there that'll get to work on really getting some of the things that are important to this damn country fixed. All this crap is done for political purposes. Nothing's going to get done until after November, and then Trump wins and the Democrats win the House back. It's going to be the same next 4 years. Maybe that's what the powers that be want. They want it all the same, never to change, never to be anything different, always to continue on the shenanigans, this road of divide and conquer the damn country. All for political purposes. With that being said, folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. Don't forget, if you've missed any portions of the broadcast, want to help out in any way financially, or maybe just send some encouraging messages to us, you can go to the website, www.jlebang.com. We've also got plenty of different shows that you can check out. Not only the John Lebang Show, but we've got indie rock hour called the Banger Music Hour. If you like rock music, you're going to love the Banger Music Hour. If you like audio dramas, comedy and stuff, check out our Bangerverse. It's all there for your entertainment. One of the most expansive websites out there. So much to do on the website, you could get lost for hours. Trust me, I do myself. Of course, that's when I'm updating and I'm like, why the hell do I have so much on this website? Archives are pretty much updated. You should check out our interview page. That's fully updated. We're coming up on our 100th interview, and that'll be happening real soon here as well. Well, with that being said, until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm John Lebang, signing off until next time from the Banger Studios. Skippity bibbity, zabbity boo.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space,